Hello, everyone.
The East. That's our title here today. Open your Bibles, if you would, to Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16. We're going to take it at the sixth vial, rather. You want to remember that Satan, the false Messiah, appears at the sixth seal, the sixth trump, and the sixth vial. So we're going to pull back the curtain just a little bit today and see what you have to look forward to recognize the East. That's our title here today. Open your Bibles, if you would, to Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16, we're going to take it at the sixth vial, rather. You want to remember that Satan, the false Messiah, appears at the sixth seal, the sixth trump, and the sixth vial. So we're going to pull back the curtain just a little bit today and see what you have to look forward to recognize his coming. So here we go, Revelation chapter 16. Let's pick it up with verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east may be prepared. Verse 13, for I saw three unclean spirits, like frogs. Didn't say they were frogs now. Quite the opposite, said they weren't, but they were like that maybe. Came out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Those are simply three roles of Satan. 14, for they are the spirits of devils. Working miracles which go forth into the kings of the earth, not the kings of the east, but the kings of the earth, and of the whole world, to gather them to battle.
Hey guys, I hope you can hear me. I'm going to let this video upload a little bit since I'm having some internet problems. And, okay, Olive Branch,
Great
thank
day
you.
with Armageddon.
Love you, girl. No. I'm going to just let it load here for a little bit, see if I can't get, and it unpaused itself. Can you guys hear me? It is, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let the video upload, and that way there won't be a lag. I'm actually on satellite internet, so that's what's going on. Yeah, that's funny. The download speed is okay. I can download things really fast, but when it comes to streaming or gaming or this, and this, there's like almost one there's almost nothing. So yeah, it's really frustrating, and that's really my only choice here. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I sometimes I'm getting less than 1 meg. So that's not just us then. Okay. That kind of makes me feel better, if that makes me feel better at all.
You see, that wouldn't mean so much unless you really understood what the word east means here. And I'm going to take it to you in the Hebrew because we're going to end up there. And I'm doing it because it makes it easier for
Hopefully
you to
I've
check
let
out
it
of
go
what I'm
ahead
about to
enough
share
so we
with
can watch
you.
this. We'll
Because
see.
all you have to do is open your Smith's Bible Dictionary under the word east. And you'll find out that there are two words, Kedem and Mizrak. Kedem is K-E-D-E-M, and Mizrak is M-I-Z-R-A-C-K. Mizrak means the Far East. It means China. It means the Orient. But what's important that you know what Kedem means. It only gives you a spot geographically to go to, and then you go to that spot, and it's what is in front of you when you face east. So what is this kings of east we're talking about here then? Well, where did he tell us to go?
And here I thought I was talking the whole time. You know, this isn't the only time I've done this. Um, my mic was on mute, and I was talking the whole time. So anyways, hopefully now that the video will catch up. I was saying that I popped on, and it's funny because I looked at it and didn't even realize my mic was on mute. I popped on the Kings of the East because I wanted to go over this, and hopefully some people would come in and talk to me about how they think that the Kings of the East is relating to like Iran, or well, yeah, to Iran, because they are part of the Kings of the East, and how Daniel 8 is relating to the breaking of the horn, which it mentions Medo-Persia, which is Iran of today. So I was kind of interested to see how anybody thought about what's going on, what times we're in, you know, are they crying peace with Iran, saying that they want peace, so on and so forth. And if anybody would like to come on here and talk, we can go ahead and get you into Zoom, and you can come on and talk. It's up to you. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Well, yeah, to Iran because they are part of the kingdom. So I have to check on my phone, and I don't want my voice from the computer to go into my microphone here, but I thought I would play this if y'all are interested in that. And then if you want me to stop anywhere, you want me to say something, you want to say something, ask a question as we're watching Kings of the East, or do you want me to put something else on? Just type in below. I'll pause it, ask questions, make a statement, tell me what you think. Iron sharpens iron, so I think that's a good thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and if you want me to stop, you have a question, you want to make a comment, you want to come on here and talk, let me know. Just type it in.
That go to the great abounding river, Euphrates. Euphrates is a river that is 1,780 miles long. So it covers a great deal of ground. And you have to look at everything east of there. Well, what does that consist of? Well, let's start with Turkey, parts of Turkey, parts of Syria, parts of Iraq, all of Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. These are the kings of the East. And as you learned this spring, they're already swarming. So the way for those kings is being prepared, which is doing nothing but preparing the way for the false one. Well, you don't understand, brother. They're democracies. Oh, they're democracies? Well, I've got a bridge over in Brooklyn. But it's really a very simple thing. And I said, I'm using this because it's real easy for you to check me out if you own a Smith's Bible Dictionary. And all you have to do is look up the word East. And it doesn't mean China. It means the Arab nations that join the east side of the Euphrates River. Naturally, they are about 99% Muslim. Now, is that coming down on the Muslim people? No, I'm quoting Scripture. Anytime you go take man's word, well, it may not be politically correct. I don't give two hoots whether it's politically correct or not. That's what it says. That's what it means, and that's exactly where you had better be watching. What vial did I say we just poured out? The sixth. Well, who comes in the sixth? Well, as you know, in the 9th chapter, in the 5th trump, we found out all these people come wearing like it were crowns, only they're turbans. So pretty soon God gets our attention, and you begin to wake up and realize, hey, it's happening. We have to observe. We have to understand. Verse 14, for they are the spirits of devils working miracles which go forth to the kings of the earth. We got 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Now, I want you to remember one thing about this verse, that I saw 3 unclean spirits. It's important you hang on to those 3 for a moment, okay, in your mind. Now, go with me, if you would, to Revelation chapter 9. This is where we read the 5th seal, and we're going to pick up the 6th trump, rather. Let's see what it says about the 6th trump. This would be the appearance of a Babdon. That's the destroyer. He's coming, dear friends. You've been in preparation for it for a long time. Verse 13 of Revelation chapter 9, and the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God. Now this is from God, so you can count on it. Saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Here we have that river Euphrates again. Now, let me ask you a question. You want to always analyze. What angels do you know of that are bound? I mean, in chains. Well, let me think. The good angels aren't bound in chains. Of course not. But the fallen angels are bound in chains for destruction, as the great book of Jude declares. So we know where those four are from. Four is the number of earth as well. But here God begins to loosen and to use the very part of those fallen angels, which, do you know who they come with? You know, we could read the 12th chapter where we know that Satan and his angels are cast out at the same time. If four of them are loosed, we're getting close. That's all my point, okay? And I'm going to drop it there. But I want you again to note Euphrates. It's important. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year to slay the third part of men. What? To lie to them. Cause them to be spiritually deader than a hammer. Probably a little message like, oh, gee whiz, we've come to fly you away. You know, we're just little angels. And you know how you could trust angels. Just be good and get in our wagon and let's go. So you see, we're about to come up against some things that you could be played the fool real easily. But you're not, and you're not going to, because God has forewarned you. These are not good angels. They are part of those that are held for destruction. It makes it very clear. And they are going to have power to spiritually cause 1/3 of the people to die. Not a physical death, a spiritual death. The number of the army of horsemen was 200,000, and I heard the number of them. That's a swarm. I mean, a really swarm coming across that Euphrates that is on the other side of that Euphrates. I don't know, maybe some of you have been watching television lately. It swarms across the Euphrates. Maybe you've been paying attention. Verse 17, hour, moment, month, year means God has one set moment that this is going to happen. You do not want to be caught asleep. Okay. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, 1, jacinth 2, brimstone 3, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire, 1, smoke 2, and brimstone 3. You say always pick up a set of 3 in this. 3 evil spirits. Verse 18, by these 3 was the third part of men killed by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. Well, what came out of their mouth? I'll give you one guess. Lies. False teaching. Misleading people. And how they love to hear it. They swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. If anything, say, give us more. They love the supernatural. They're going to get it. False teaching.
So here's my thought on all of this, is the fact that, let's see, right now the repo financial markets are collapsing. There are massive capital injections going on every day. Right. You know, I'm not on any train, or I don't go Republican, I don't go Democrat, I'm just Christian. So I think the right thing should be done. And my thoughts are that in Daniel 8, and let me grab my Bible here, because this is something that I have been going over and over and over with Pastor Murray, and I don't listen to anybody else but Pastor Murray, okay? And I'm human just like everybody else, but I only listen to what Pastor Murray has to say about it. So, my thoughts, I'm going to go to Daniel 8. Here, my pages are sticking together. And this talks about a horn, or a goat with two horns, that's broken. And when this horn is broken, that's the entrance. Basically, whatever breaks this horn causes a deadly wound. Now, I've heard Pastor Murray say time and time again that, the deadly wound's going to come to the system, which isn't set up fully, because we know that it doesn't fully come into being until Lucifer shows up de facto. De facto, to me, means visually. Okay, because I know for the first 2.5 months he's behind the scenes, things are building, things are happening, actions happening, so on and so forth. So the deadly wound comes and he shows up. Now, with Iran being sanctioned to the point where they barely can't even, they can't do anything. He has tightened the noose so much, their head has pretty much fallen off. So, to me, Daniel 8 was talking about Medo-Persia. Well, Medo-Persia of today is Iran. So, I don't agree with other people that are saying that the horn to be broken is off the United Nations, because that doesn't really make any sense. Not to me. Who cares about the United Nations, really? I don't think many people do. But with Iran being sanctioned like this, there's nowhere else to go, left, right, up, down, except for war. The leader of Iran had said, there's nowhere going to be safe to go. We will go to war, make no mistake. Trump's definitely not backing down. He is, basically in the same position, because he's like, we're not going to tolerate bloodthirsty people like the kings of the East, okay? And I was going over this study, and kings of the East are parts of Turkey, parts of Syria, parts of Iraq, all of Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. East, which is Kedem, K-E-D-E-M, like Pastor Murray was saying, means everything to the east of the river Euphrates is your kings of the East. Well, the river Euphrates is 1,780 miles long. That covers a lot of ground. That's why all these countries that I just mentioned are kings of the East, your Kenites. Okay, so my thought is, and Iran obviously was trying to take over the border of Iraq and pull their bullcrap. They're on the move, okay? They're moving. And they said that they're going to annihilate Israel and the United States, which we know in the end with Haman Gog and Magog war, and Armageddon, which happened at the same time, which is Jesus' war, not our war. We don't have to worry about it. God takes care of them. And that doesn't happen until the end, but I can see the pieces being put on the chessboard. Okay, I can see, or maybe they were already there, but they're moving. To my thoughts here, it's like, okay, you've got Iran choking, they're cut off. That to me could be the horn breaking, and maybe not yet, but maybe it's darn near broke off, okay? And I think that this Trump was talking about today that he doesn't want to go back to that nuclear deal of 2015 because there's problems with it. Then you have UK, France, and Germany saying, okay, well, if you don't want to go to the deal, maybe we should make a new one. So Trump has an idea of whatever it is, and I'm sure he's had this actually for a while. It was just us in the population that didn't know, and this is probably part of his peace plan. I don't know. Is that he's going to make a possible new deal with Iran, and then everybody else would join it. Now, I have heard Pastor Murray say several times that whatever causes the deadly wound is because it could be countries coming to the table and disagreeing on something, nations pulling out, a financial collapse, the whole ball of wax. So maybe this deal that he's trying to make, which other countries will go for, but then all of a sudden everybody or some people pull out or something happens, causes that deadly wound. But I think it really has to deal with what's going on like right now. And then Iran put out a notice saying, well, we just want peace. But yet when they're sitting here saying they want peace and security, but yet then they're like bombing stuff and saying we're going to annihilate Israel, and the Houthis and all those, those are straight from Iran. And Iran, we didn't attack Saudi Arabia. Yeah, you did. Lies. Just complete and absolute lies. Of course, candidates lie, right? I mean, you can never trust them. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Say one thing, do another. So my whole point to watching this is the fact that I feel like Lucifer's at the door. You know, I feel that spiritually by what's going on, but I want to see, am I the only one that's thinking this? Like, where are your thoughts on that? Am I way off in left field, or is this really what's going on? You know, I'd like to know what you think about it, what you think about what I've said, and then according to Scripture, Daniel 8, and then this video, Kings of the East, explains it pretty darn well. I mean, it got me pretty dang excited going, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm barely sleeping lately because I don't want to miss a beat. I just feel that Lucifer is nigh. And I say this to some people and they think I'm, nuts because, oh, well, they've been talking peaceful. Well, they've been trying to say peace. Obama said it, okay? This is different. Something's different, something's not right, is basically what I'm saying. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Okay, so you think we're very close to major things happening. Can you please just help me? What do you think we are close? What major things are you kind of looking for? Just let it, let me know. I need iron sharpens iron, brothers and sisters. I don't want to feel alone in this, and that's kind of how I feel. And I just don't want to be heading. Whoops. I don't want to be heading left when I should be going right, but this is what I'm seeing. I would like to point out that Iran is only one of 3 countries without a central bank controlled by you-know-who. Okay. Iran is one of the 3 countries without a... I thought that Trump just put sanctions on their central bank is what I read. I can try to look for that because I saw Trump sanctions Iran's central bank. He cut off funds or something. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So what does them not having What do you mean by, because you're very good in the fact that you are into the gold stuff, you're into the financial stuff, which I don't understand. So I did find this report: Trump sanctions Iran's central bank in the wake of strikes on Saudi oil facilities. So can you elaborate for me what you mean by that? Just so I can understand. Any help would be really appreciated here. And you're very smart with this stuff, so. Oh, I was on mute. Gosh darn it. Okay, so you said you'd like to point out that Iran is, okay, the three countries out of the central bank. It's not a Rothschild controlled central bank. That's the main reason for the sanctions. Okay. So you're trying to tell me, yes, actually there is, and I'm going to get that prepared for you. Let me get into Zoom, and then I'm going to send you the number for that. Give me 1 second here, because that would be really great. I mean, people really need to hear this part, because that it's pulling, it pulls it definitely together. And let me just get in here, if I can remember. My sign in here. I don't remember. Did I forget? I'm going to get you into Zoom. I thought my computer would have remembered whatever email I used. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to log into Zoom here. It's probably going to make my internet run. Oh no, did that just cut my live stream off? I just cut my live stream off, I think.
You did?
I think so.
How?
Well,
By pressing some kind of button.
shh. I didn't mean to. You can hear me? Okay. So let me just get into my channel here. I lost my screen, actually. I'm going to see if I can actually get back into it. So it's still going. I just don't know what the heck happened. I didn't mean to. Wow. Okay, like I totally tried to kill it. Hopefully it won't shut off here. Okay, it's still there. Alright, so let me go to this screen, and I'm going to try to... You can hear me? Okay. So let me just get into my... Okay, so channel I'm gonna here. Host a meeting here. I kind of lost my screen, actually. And let me see. I'm glad that that still goes. And I'm going to see if I can actually get back into it. That might hopefully work. Because that would be really great to... Is that hopefully gonna work for you? So it's still going. I will go back on here. I'm gonna close some of this stuff, and that way my internet's not busting out on me here. Did you get all that? And that way... I was going to check to see if my mic was on. Okay, it is. That is wonderful.
Can you hear me at this time? Can you hear me?
Did you get all that?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me at all?
Okay. What the heck happened? Okay, it is. I don't think I can hear.
Can you hear me?
Something's. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I hear you now. All the technical stuff, huh? What the heck happened?
There's a lot of delay.
Yeah. Can you hear me on the Zoom?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you on the Zoom.
Okay. Well, if we just
Yes.
probably mute the YouTube video, we can go ahead and get it in Zoom, and then it'll catch up with us and record. Because I hear the YouTube instead.
Okay, I'll be right back. I need to get my headset.
All right.
There's a lot of delay.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's buffering.
Yeah, I can. I can hear you on the Zoom.
I didn't mean to. Okay. Well, if we just probably mute the YouTube video, we can go and get it in Zoom, and then it'll catch up. Wow. Okay, like I totally tried to kill it. Hopefully it. Where? I got lots of sounds coming in here.
I'll be right back. I need to get a headset.
All right.
There's a lot of delay.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's buffering. Okay, well, if you just probably mute the YouTube video, we can get it in Zoom. Wow. Okay, like I totally tried to kill it. Hopefully it.
I'll be right back. I need to get a headset.
Okay, it's
Okay, that's
still there. All right, so let me go to this screen, and I'm going to try. Wow, I don't know what's back playing here. Wow. Okay, like I totally tried to kill it. Oh, I see. I think my computer was
no.
doing
What
it.
if I got kicked off?
Are you? I think you're here. Can you hear me? You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me at all?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You're on mute. Are you online?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I don't think my sound is going. Can you hear me? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I think I lost you.
No, wait. Oh, no.
If you can hear me, I can't hear you at this time.
Okay, hold on. Hold on one sec. I don't know why my audio went off. How do I fix that? Test speaker and microphone. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Hello? Hello? I'm not too sure what. Let's see. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I do hear you. I hear you, but do you hear
Okay.
me?
I can't hear you at all. I can't hear you on my headset here.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a tremendous amount of delay when you go through YouTube.
Hello?
Yeah, there we go.
I'm not too sure
Yeah, I think I can hear you now.
what. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, I've muted YouTube.
Okay, can you hear me through Zoom?
I can't hear you through the headset at all. I can't hear
Okay.
you through Zoom. I'm trying to hear you through Zoom and I can't hear you at all.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. See, sometimes things get all cattywampus in there.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then you got YouTube in the background being delaying 10 years because of satellite internet.
Right. Yeah, it's tremendous delay here.
Yeah, in the Zoom there won't be, and in the YouTube it'll probably delay, but at least they'll be able to get our conversation. At some point, it's just the YouTube that will be delayed, but that's okay.
Okay.
So, what were you? Can you help me understand the financial bank you were talking about? Because I didn't think or didn't know that their central bank wasn't connected like ours is. I guess I didn't understand.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. That's a common misconception there. And they are one of the few countries that don't have a central bank at this time, or a Rothschild-controlled central bank.
So, what do you think? So, how was Trump able to sanction their bank? What did he mean by sanctioning their bank? Where does the money come from, or what was he talking about by cutting off funds?
There's a banking system that they use mainly over in Europe that controls all the money that goes between countries, and they shut off the access to that. That's what they do.
Okay, and is that money for funds as far as like for what kind of transaction? I mean, why? What money is funding their central bank? Is this oil? Is this? I mean, what? Where does this money come from?
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to move the oil that they have and other resources, and sanctions them. They can't sell any of that to other countries. That's the problem, and it
Right,
chokes them.
right. So, do you possibly think that in referring to Daniel 8, where it talks about the prophecy, and it was concerning Medo Persia, which we know is Iran of today. Is that possibly the horn of the he goat that gets broken to bring in Lucifer, and also before that, apparently, obviously, the deadly wound?
Well, it can be. I think what's happened more than anything else is that they're going to have, um, I think there'll be like more financial problems worldwide, and then all of a sudden things get so bad that nobody has anything going on. It just comes to a standstill.
Right.
And I think with that standstill, I think that's when they might do something crazy. You know, because there's nothing left to lose at that point.
And that's gonna. Do you think that that would be the deadly wound? And is it gonna be because there's whatever agreement? And I don't know if it's this Jared's peace plan or all this bobbycock that they're talking. What is this, whatever deal they're going to be going into since Trump got out of the 2015 nuclear deal, and then he said, well, I'm not going back to that. France, Germany, and the UK were like, you need to rejoin, and he says, heck no, that was a bad deal. Today they said, if that's such a bad deal, let's make a new one. And they're willing to join into this to try to get some sort of a peace agreement going on here. Could that possibly be an agreement that brings in a deadly wound or a financial collapse, or is there something else that needs to happen first?
No, the worldwide economy is barely has a pulse at this time, and I think that'll just trigger all the other things to happen afterwards when that falls apart.
Right, and there's nothing that Trump can or can't do or has done, because I'm not on a Republican or Democrat train. I'm a Christian, and I believe that they're both screwing us over.
Oh, I agree with you 100% on that.
So I feel like a lot of people are like, well, Trump was chosen by God to save us. I've never read that anywhere in the Bible.
Yeah, me either. That's just, I think that's some poor interpretation. I think that's maybe wishful thinking in some respects.
Right. I think that's maybe a lot of the patriot American wanting us to be okay, but that's not biblically sound.
No, because one, the steps that they're trying to do, you see, back in 2008, when everything should have fallen apart, the things that they tried back then did work, and they did work quite well for a while. The problem is that the things they're doing eventually the cure turns into the poison.
Right.
So that's where it really falls apart. So more easy money, more QE, all that kind of stuff isn't going to be that effective, and it hasn't been that effective.
Right. And do you think that the temporary band-aid that they've, placed and done, creating all these bubbles, is the downfall?
Yes. Well, right now, you see, in 2008, we had one bubble that popped, and that was the housing bubble, that by itself.
Right.
Okay, now we have three bubbles that are ready to pop. We not only have housing that's overvalued, we have a stock market that's overvalued, and we have a bond market that's ready to pop at the same time.
Oh, wow. So basically the whole system is about ready to fall on its face.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you got me thinking, and I thought this before, but everybody told me, well, you're kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I may very well be, but is the Kenite system from the four dynasties already in place, and the deadly wound that we might be facing is already what's set up and it's about to crumble?
Very much so.
Okay, so I wasn't too crazy in thinking that. Everybody's looking for this new deal or this new system to come in, but that can't come in until these dynasties fall on their face, and that's why Lucifer comes to fix it, and it already exists.
Right. The system is ready to go. It's ready for Satan to come out here and play rockstar anytime he wants to.
And where do you think, okay, so we're waiting for, basically, we're almost to the point where the financial, and does that tie into, and why did I forget, the stock market? Is that when it crashes, we're done?
Well, I think when one of them finally does pop, one of these bubbles does pop, and there are bubbles too. There's a tremendous amount of consumer debt out there, and a million other things too.
Right, which
When one
target
bubble
wars.
pops, I think it's going to take down everything else with it.
Right, because they're all intertied. So I'm trying to. I'm seeing here that you're right. And once this system crashes, which I think that this whole, and I don't know, and I'm trying to think biblically, I don't think anybody goes to war, right?
Oh no, because you can't. What are you going to go to war with if you can't pay your soldiers, can't buy any machinery, guns, tanks, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, you're right. So, when this system crashes, basically the dollar's gone.
Oh yeah, and all the other fiat currencies around the world, the pound, the euro, yen, yuan, all of them, they're all based on nothing.
Right. So they're going to have to, this is going to create a worldwide scare because nobody can buy food, nobody can pay for nothing, we have no money, we have nothing, and they're going to have to bring in some sort of a system to remedy this.
Right. And my belief is when all this happens, it's going to be so catastrophic. There's no world leader available at this time that can really walk you through this. So I think Satan is really the only one who can come in there, swoop in at that time, and say, "Hey, I'm here to save the day."
Right, and that makes biblical sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually kind of scary because a lot of people are waiting for something to happen that is already happening, but we're just not. They're just not seeing it.
Oh no, they're not, because this is such complicated stuff. Try to filter through. Uh, Me and Jeff Jonak are always, talking to each other a couple times a week, going over these things, trying to make sense of this complicated financial garbage. You know,
It's very complicated, but I think that you have a very good grasp on it, definitely more than the general population, and you're able to put two and two together because two and two always equals four. It can't ever change.
right?
And it would be really interesting for you guys to maybe come on at one time if we can schedule it and try to explain to people how this is working and why this is the system that's going to fall and cause the world to go into an uproar, which opens the door for Lucifer. That would be a deadly wound to the whole damn world.
Oh, it would be. It would be.
Now, I remember Pastor Murray saying that the deadly wound happens to those who sit upon the rock. What do you think that
Well,
meant?
yeah. That's a little bit harder to explain, I guess, in some respects for me, because I it's just a little bit harder to kind of guess here exactly some of the details like that. I'm not as sure about.
Right. Well, here's my thought, because we know that when you look at the rock, you have a mosque sitting on there, and I am thinking it's Kenite ruled, correct?
It is very much so. Kenites all run out of Israel. That's their country of origin.
Right, and so our banking system, our money, everything that the whole world is based on, the Kenites own.
Exactly. They either own or control.
So
Once they control the money system, they control the government.
right, so the deadly wound, him saying that the deadly wound happens to those who sit upon the rock, well, that's true, and that's going to affect the entire world.
Oh, it's going to be complete chaos for a lot of people. Now, I don't think it's going to be this kind of Mad Max stuff that a lot of people talk about. I think it'll be a little bit more organized to a degree. and I don't think that it'll be quite as over the top. I don't think we're going to see this infrastructure that is in existence right now is too important for Satan, and I think he needs to have that infrastructure in place and working so he can play rock star so everybody can see him when he appears.
Right. And I'm just wondering how Iran is playing into this, because when the horn of the he-goat is broke in Daniel chapter 8 and so on, after that it talks that immediately when that horn is broken, that's Lucifer's entrance because it causes the deadly wound.
Right. He's going to be there to save the day and make everybody think that he's the most wonderful person ever.
Right. And so I'm just trying to figure out, and I keep going over the Kings of the East, and I keep going over Daniel to find out how Iran, because I just have this gut feeling that this is like a big, big thing to do with it.
Well, it could, because, you know, if everything falls apart, it's hard telling what they might do. They might just grab the military and say, hey, let's go over there and invade Israel right now. You don't know.
Right. Well, I know that when I was listening to the leader of Iran, something Ben al-Salami or something, he's basically saying that there's going to be nowhere to hide, and they want to attack Israel and the United States. And I don't think he's going to back off of that train of thought.
Oh, I wouldn't expect him to.
So when that article came out, and I'll see if I can actually bring that up, the Iran leader had said that he's looking for peace and stability. But then yet he says that, but then he's behind the scenes saying he's going to destroy America, he's going to destroy Israel. And I believe that the Houthis and all those militias I think those are all Iran's, of course, and some of the other Kings of the East countries that I said, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, their militias and stuff, they're already sending out and putting in place.
Oh, yes, they've got their little networks going. I mean, these guys do it old school. They're patient. They know how to get things done.
Right. And so I know that, we have to look at Jerusalem as our barometer. What do you think about this tomorrow? What is today's date? No, it's the 26th, and I believe Jerusalem's a day ahead, if I'm not misunderstanding. They're going to have a 70 nations meeting on the Mount of Olives and they're going to have an animal sacrifice. They're going to renew their covenant with God because of the sacrifice. They're going to initiate the Talmud laws, and they're going to come together to form a pact, because they said that the United Nations is no longer doing their job to provide peace and safety, so these nations are coming together to form a pact so they can do so. Right,
and I agree with you on that. That this is one of the things that Jeff and I are keeping close eyes on too, because it's just so much going on there that this is a huge event. This is a very, very big thing going on with them.
Right, and I'm wondering, and like I said, I could just be hoping and wishing, but Jesus was our last sacrifice. There is no more sacrifices. He was the last lamb sacrificed. So by them, I think it's a cow or something. I don't know what they're sacrificing, but by them making
the red heifer.
The red heifer. By them making that sacrifice, that is going to make God very angry, right?
Oh, without a doubt. That's automatic.
So,
yeah, he's not going to be happy about that.
Do you think it could be possible that it could be maybe an entrance for two witnesses to come and prophesy against the abominations they're doing, or am I off track?
I think you're a little early on that.
Just wishing.
I think you're slightly early on that. That's a little bit wishful thinking. I'd like to see it too, believe me. Especially when we know who the two witnesses are.
Right. I was just thinking, I said, whoa, and that's not anything I'm going off biblically. I'm like, wow, that would be quite an entrance. But I could be way ahead and I'm wanting this to be over with. I'm tired of it.
Oh, you're not the only one. I'm getting sick and tired of this. I mean, I could be a multimillionaire and still be bored to death of this second Earth age. I've had enough.
Right. I agree with you on that. And I just, I'm keeping my eyes out on everybody. I don't trust any of them. And I think that the 70 Nations meeting is going to be something so big that I think it's bigger than I'm even, thinking that it is, because they're way doing some abominations, and the Talmud laws is basically death to Christians.
Yeah, that's some pretty serious business there, and I'm a little concerned about that too, because you just don't know what might happen. I mean, I have other ideas on how some other things might play out as well, because what I always try to do, this is my key to figuring out a lot of this stuff, is I take what we do know from the Bible, certain key things like, okay, Satan's going to be here, he's going to be playing Rockstar and all that. And what I do is I reverse engineer everything to think, okay, if you're going to play Rockstar, what do you need to have in place to make that happen? And so then I go backwards and try to look at the technical end of it and see, you need this, you need that, and then try to put it together afterwards. And that's how I come up with a lot of my ideas.
Right. And it's a lot to try to put together.
Well, it is, because it's taken me a long time to become pretty good at economics, and it takes a long time to study all the biblical information and trying to all these other current events, political events, and all this stuff all together. It takes a lot of time, and it's not easy to do. And sometimes I just kind of get inspiration, and they just kind of pop in my head,
Right.
and then I kind of figure it out too.
Right. And I was talking to my girl Olive Branch, who I think will be stopping in here in a few. And her and I, talk on another channel. I think you've seen it. It's Praise I Am That I Am. And sometimes I go in there and he lets me talk about current events with Olive Branch. And we're trying to figure out what the heck this 70 Nations meeting is really about and what it's going to do. And I'm hoping that it is what I'm thinking it is, but by them wanting to enact the Talmud laws, which is going to be worldwide, that takes Christianity and makes it illegal.
Well, yeah, we may have to go a little quiet for a while. You never know. We still have our views, and we're not going to change, but we might have to have a lower profile, so to speak.
Right, and I believe I remember Pastor Murray saying, and even the Bible, that at one point there's going to be a famine for truth. Well, if Pastor Murray's videos aren't allowed to come on anymore, which I'm sure they will take them off because they'll say they're anti-Semitic, right? They're trying to say that the New Testament is anti-Semitic.
Well, of course, and all the mentions of Kenites and all that kind of stuff that... quite frankly, I never heard the term Kenite until I started watching Pastor Murray, and I didn't even know about it, and what it really meant and what they were all about. So I have so much from Arnold Murray and Dennis Murray that it was just easy to, it's just completed my education so much. I feel so much more well-rounded for knowing that.
Right, I agree with you. If it wasn't for them, I was 14 years old. Actually, I was younger than that when I started listening to Pastor Murray, but I was baptized by Pastor Murray, Dennis, and his other son, David. And that was the only Passover I got to go to, but I am thankful for that. And I've been with Shepherd's Chapel since I was, could remember. So it's a blessing to me that they were able to show me the truth and to learn. But I mean, I'm still learning and I'm still struggling because it's so much.
Oh, it is. It's an extremely complex. Everything is complex about it. I mean, there's so many different moving parts. I think that's why we need the multi-membered body of Christ could all work. Where some people I know are more into the prophecy things, and I'm self and Jeff are a little bit more into the financial and all that because we feel that's where the real action is. You
Right.
take away them, you take away everything. And
Right.
I do agree with you on these 70 nations, meaning that they are literally setting up another United Nation type organization is what they're trying to do. They might be trying to set up the New World Order at that meeting and get the basis of it at least going.
See, and that's what Olive Branch and I thought is by them doing this, uh, this is going to pretty much take out the United Nations, or they're going to somehow go around it. I don't know. This isn't the first time that the United Nations has been named something else. They've done this before.
Yes, with League of Nations and the
Yes.
United Nations and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not anything new under the sun.
No. And I'm sure that it'll have some very esoteric sounding name that'll so wonderful and just so incredible, and it'll bamboozle everybody into thinking it's a wonderful idea.
Right. And I think that this peace plan that Trump and his son-in-law and Ivanka have been, tooting for years about them bringing it out. We're going to do it at Easter. Oh, we're going to do it after Ramadan. Oh, we're going to do it after the Israel elections. Oh, well, that didn't work. I meant the next one. Oh, well, that's not working. I mean, maybe the
Yeah.
whole time everybody else in the country, meaning Saudi Arabia, the AEU, everybody knows about it, but the general population. And I think maybe some of people have already signed into it. Some of the countries.
Oh, they probably have. We don't know what goes on in like these Bilderberg group meetings and things like that, because I'm sure that a lot of this stuff gets launched. I think a lot of these people right now know that things is getting short because the financial thing is getting so serious at this time that it could break at any moment. I know that I've been reading stories now, a lot of super rich people are not buying stuff anymore. They are backing off. They're not going out to the Mercedes dealership and just buying it because they feel like it. They're watching their money. They're holding it tight. And they're getting a little frustrated that there aren't really good venues to put their money in. They can't make any money off the treasury bills. They can't make any money off the stock market right now. They are getting very frustrated with it. Now, if they went to professionals, they'll probably make a killing. But a lot of the financial people will tell you stay away from precious metals because they don't get a commission. That's why they tell you to stay away from it.
So another thing that could be hurting our financial system is because anytime anybody buckles down, or as they say in the South, hunkers down, that causes the system or our financial system to be worse, because if you don't spend money, people aren't making money, which makes our economy go down.
Right, to the negative growth at that point.
Right. Well, at the same time, Trump is tooting we're having economic growth. We're doing so great. I'm the best president ever alive. I've done so much. But actually, the opposite is happening, and it's about to crash.
Right. I think what their real mission is at this time, what they're really trying to pull off, is they want to delay this as long as they possibly can until after the next election. Then I think 2021, I think they feel comfortable with pulling the chair up from underneath everybody and letting it go at that time. I don't think they want to do it before then, but I think if they have to, they'll just do it no matter what. But I think they want to wait until after that next election.
Right, but I also am wondering, because we just got out of the 70-year generation of the fig tree. That 70 years completed.
Right.
So
I know, and you're probably one of the youngest chapel members out there. I mean, I'm in my 50s, and I know a lot of people are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are members. And I agree with you. I think time is getting short, and I think things are starting to happen. I mean, just look at all the weather events. Everything is chaos. It's just chaos everywhere you look.
right, and I have only seen. How old am I? I'm 39. So I've only
Hmm.
seen the last 20 some odd, 20 some odd years, because I don't really think kids can really put two and two together. We're off on different things as a teenager and as a kid. So I haven't seen, except what history tells me and what I can read about everything that's happened, to systems and stuff like that. So I've only seen my lifetime as an adult of what has changed, which has been dramatic. Um,
Oh yeah,
but coming
yeah.
from you, you've seen a lot more than I have, and you can put a lot of that together. And that's why I'm enjoying your view on this, because you've kind of been there, done that, seen it.
Yeah, I have. I'm about 20 years older than you, about 18. And I was there when Reagan was president, and Margaret Thatcher was there, and in England, and things like that. Now, that was a pretty good team. I have to admit that that was a pretty good team there. They seemed to, if there would have been a major financial crash, I think those two could have been a good enough front man to kind of make that work, and be, hey, everything's going to be okay. We've got this new system, and we're going to be fine. Right now, when you look around the world and there's a big financial crash that happens, who's going to be your front man for this? Trump? No, I don't think that's going to work. Trudeau? No. Macron? Merkel? There's Boris Johnson in England. I mean, they're trying to kick him out at this time. I mean, who's going to be your front man? I mean, there's this one real unifier out there that can do it, other than Satan swooping in and saying, hey, here I am to save the day. You know, that's saying it's going to work in my book.
Right, because I was also thinking, now I am not as well versed as some people are in this, but when Trump signed us into well, it was just a revised NAFTA, very little changed in it, but the USMCA, that agreement has basically made us the North American Union, correct?
Yeah, basically. I mean, and it would make sense because if you've seen I know Sam, if you've ever watched his videos there, Sam always has that map on there, and it shows North America being as one place,
Right.
North American continent.
Right. I do subscribe to his channel, and I watch. The only thing I think about when he puts up that little map is when the 5 months take place. It is where we go from 555, which is the time of learning, to 666. And 666 starts the tribulation and goes to the end, which it's separated in 2.5 and 2.5. And in my understanding, when he puts up that, the tribulation, he's putting 666 in the middle, and I guess I'm not understanding where he's coming from on that.
Well, when 666, that's obviously when Satan shows up for the next 2.5 months. He has the first 2.5 months still being 555.
Right.
So that's what I think he's doing right there. It it's hard to know sometimes exactly. I can't tell you with 100% accuracy that I'm accurate on everything I say either. I could get surprised and all that. I mean, quite frankly, I was pretty surprised at the election in Israel where Bibi didn't do too well. I was quite shocked by that. That caught me off guard.
Well, yeah,
So I
because
mean, I get surprised.
Trump backed him so much. I thought he was a shoe-in.
Oh, me too. I thought this was automatic.
But if you see what's happened now, is Trump has basically backed off of the whole thing with Bibi, and Trump's being silent on it as far as I know.
Yeah, he is. In fact, you don't hear him talking about Israel that much. You don't really hear him talking about his good buddy Bibi too much either right now.
No.
I don't know what is going on there because this is a surprise to me. And I don't know if there's something serious connected with somehow, but it just surprised me that he did not make it because I thought, man, he's got the name.
Well, right, and that's exactly what I thought, but then I've been reading on the elections and stuff, and they're trying to form what they're calling a unity government to where Benny Gantz and Netanyahu take turns being prime minister.
Yeah, that's almost more curious than anything else. Why they would do it that way. I understand in a parliamentary type system, sometimes you have to have strange bedfellows. Okay, that's part of the process. But I think what probably hurt Bibby more than anything else was that he his wife was in a lot of trouble, and there was some kind of scam on or some kind of thing going on with her. And I think that bled over to him, and I think that's why he didn't win. I don't think if that would have been there, I think he would have been a shoe-in without any trouble at all.
Do you think it had a little bit to do with the fact that he said he was going to annex the West Bank?
You'd think that'd be a popular thing in Israel to say that. I've got a friend from Tel Aviv that I talk to occasionally, and of course, she's very, very pro-Israel, of course.
Right.
And I would think that would be, I think that'd be a very a welcome thing if he was talking like that. I think it's almost like a nationalism kind of deal, like Trump was talking about.
Right. And I thought, by what, of course, the media, you got to be real careful, but I thought even the Palestinians were happy about that and that everything was coming together. But then all of a sudden, with these elections, and like you said, Benjamin, or I call him Benji, he is in trouble right now. And I believe his court started either yesterday or today for the trials of whatever happened there. His paying off some media or something, or I don't know exactly what it was.
You don't know the exact scandal, but I know there's some scandal there, and I believe it had a lot to do with his wife, doing something, and, it just didn't look good, which was, I don't know why these people, I think they think they're so above the law sometimes, they kind of forget and do some stupid things that comes back and backfires on them.
Right, right. And then today I hear on the news, which doesn't mean anything, Pelosi, I think, is a complete idiot, but she went ahead and filed for, my brain just stopped, article to impeach Trump.
Yeah. I don't understand the logic. Of course, it's hard to figure out the liberal mind sometimes. But I think they're just pandering to their rabid base on the left, and they want to do this. You need to have, in order for an impeachment to happen, you have to have the articles of impeachment go through in the House, and then you have to have at least 60 votes in the Senate to do this. And Republicans control the Senate at this time, and there's no way they're even going to come remotely close to 60 votes. It's a dead issue.
Right.
Why even try it? Because you're going to get cut off midstream.
And there's really been no president. There's been impeachment articles that have gone through, but Nixon, even with Watergate, he resigned before that went to the Supreme Court. He quit. He didn't get taken out of office. So just because the Democrats want to say, hey, Trump, we want to impeach you, doesn't mean he can be removed from office.
Oh, exactly. I don't think it was. I mean, I was pretty little. I was about 10 years old when Watergate happened. And really, Watergate wasn't that big a deal because they were just trying to break in and trying to see what the Democrats were up to, see if they could find some good information. They really didn't find any at all. In fact, it was kind of a bust as far as a break-in was concerned. They didn't get anything of any real value. But the problem that Nixon ran into was that they tried to cover up that they did this. And that's what brought him down more than anything, rather than the actual event itself. The cover-up is what got him into trouble.
Right. So do you think that this, because I believe what they're going off of to impeach Trump is this phone call to Ukraine that is somehow illegal or something, and he's going to be releasing that phone call tomorrow, but they're already on the impeachment track.
Well, the thing is, leaders call leaders all the time, and they talk about a variety of different things. And most of the time they're talking about just like trade deals and things like that. Say, hey, we want to get this trade deal done. Yeah, so do we. So let's have guys get together with my guys, and we'll just hammer it out, and it'll be fine. A lot of it is just kind of mundane stuff like that, but they have to contact each other. My understanding is that Joe Biden's son was involved in some rather shady business over there in the Ukraine, where he got some preferential treatment of some sort, and that's what is the basis of some of this stuff. And they're maybe just asking to say, hey, what's going on over there with Joe Biden's kid? And I don't really think that's too out of line if he's doing that. He's
Right.
just trying to maybe get some information. It's different if he's there to say, hey, can you help me overthrow Joe Biden? First of all, who can he help overthrowing Joe Biden at this time? Gaffin Joe is just as stupid as ever.
Right. I agree. So basically, I mean, they've been trying to impeach him since he was elected. And the only reason I feel that they're trying to do this is because they know they can't beat him in 2020.
Well, now with that group of clowns, you're
Right.
not going to win with that bunch. I mean,
Right.
there's one of them there that really has any potential of doing anything. None of them are going to amount to anything. I mean, Biden has the biggest name, obviously. Okay. To me, I think he's going to be the kind of like Bob Dole was in, at one time, or what John McCain was running against Obama. That kind of thing. I think he's just cannon fodder that they're throwing out there. Hey, you've done a great job, Joe. We're going to reward you with this. You aren't going to win, but hey, at least you got a chance to run for president. I think
Right.
that's what it is.
Right. Well, it'll be definitely interesting to find out how far it doesn't go and just another slap in their face. But, I mean, Trump doesn't seem worried about it at all. And I'm not saying I'm a Trump fan. I mean, I'm staying on the
No,
sidelines
me
just
neither.
watching.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm watching this play out too. When you finally get to the point that you realize that it doesn't matter if Hillary was in the White House or Trump was in the White House, the same things are going to happen either way. You change your perspective on things. You start to look at things a whole lot differently, and I think you look at it from a much more pure standpoint because you're not caught up in the oh, we're better than you because of this, or or you guys are idiots and all that. But it just you realize that it doesn't matter that much. Now, obviously, I always tell people all roads, all paths end at the same finish line, and it's a finish line that's probably going to suck for you. That's what I tell them because most people are so unprepared right now for anything that happens that if they can't use their debit card, they're not going to know what to do. They're going to be very unprepared for what's about to happen.
Well, look what happens when, like, I'm Generation X. My children are the millennials. Look how they act when they don't have a cell phone or internet. They go ballistic.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
they
exactly.
and they don't even
No,
know how to count cash and change. They get confused.
well, they do. I tell you what, I'll give you an example of that. I was just over at Wendy's the other day, and the bill came to $6.92. I gave him a $10 bill. This young kid who's a real kid behind the counter, gives me the $3 back, and then he's trying to figure out the 8 cents. He can't figure out a nickel and 3 pennies. Instead, he counts out 8 pennies and hands to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you an even better one. I was at a Dairy Queen one day. This is quite a few years ago now. Ordered a little chocolate sundae, and it came to $2.26. So I gave the girl $3. For whatever reason, she types in $2.30 into the cash register. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And now she hits the button and she has no idea of what to do. She can't count back from the change, do the change correctly. Where I've worked in Las Vegas with banks at $200,000, and I know how to handle money, and I came up even, and that was doing tens of thousands of dollars worth of transactions in an 8-hour shift with a $200,000 bank and coming up even every day.
Well, they're definitely idiots. Olive Branch just came in, and this is kind of a good point because I've said this to people, and I get basically chased out and thrown balloons at me. She said, notice how Trump said he's against globalization when that's exactly what he's doing by sanctioning Iran, and same with North Korea. All folks hear is that he's against globalization and the evil Democrats are coming after him. It's like stealing candy from a baby. Now, I always have thought that Trump was bringing in the one world system. But then, like we were talking about earlier,
Oh,
you have folks that say he's saving us.
no, he's bringing it in. He's working hand in hand with the Kenites all the way. This is no secret here at all.
Right.
I mean, it's always say one thing over here and say it loud and say it enough times and repeat it, and then do your real evil work over here on this other side, in this other corner. That's what they want to do all the time.
Well,
and that's how you keep this thing going.
My thought about this is he'll get on there and he'll say one thing, but then his actions are doing another.
Oh, yes. In fact, when Trump first became president, I remember reading stories where they were calling him the first Jewish president because he had more Jewish people working in his cabinet than anybody else at any time. And that makes sense because he's done that. And you have to wonder a little bit, too, about this. Here's a guy that just puts up buildings in New York City. And he's been a celebrity since the late 70s, early 80s. And I mean a big-time celebrity since like 1976, 75, all the way around. He's always been known. He's been groomed this entire time. He's had special loans from Kenite organizations in the past. He's very well connected with them. He's been groomed this whole time. That's all.
I believe
he's been groomed this entire time. Yeah. I mean, look at it just a few years ago, just back up to like 2011, 2012. He has that TV show called The Apprentice. It was the #1 show on TV, the #1 show. That didn't happen by accident.
No, it didn't.
And now he's running for president 5 years later?
And I also find that it's weird that this whole thing, to me, by looking back into history, looks like it was planned the whole time that he was going to be raised for this job because he talked about it his whole dang life. Yes,
exactly. That's my whole point right there. I mean, this guy has been groomed from day one, and they've got their man. I mean, I think this is why you see such an incredibly weak Democratic field trying to go up against him. I just don't see anybody. I mean, yeah, Elizabeth Warren is the flavor of the week right now. Okay, so what? You're so far away from what from the election. I don't care who's popular this week because it's not going to matter. Usually it's some dark horse or somebody else that you're not really hearing about that actually becomes a candidate a lot of times.
Right.
And when you go back to remember when Obama and Hillary were running against each other in 2008? That was going to be Hillary's crowning achievement right there.
Yeah.
Hey, when they were going against each other, here's what happened. This is a little interesting thing. The two of them are running against each other, and Hillary definitely had the lead most of the time. Well, then all of a sudden, the Bilderberg group has their meeting in Europe. And then both of them were there. Both Hillary and Obama were there. And then exactly right after this meeting of the Bilderberg group happened, all of a sudden, Hillary starts to fade, and Obama just goes through the roof, just magically. Within a month afterwards, he's king of the hill, and she's nowhere to be found.
Isn't that kind of what happened again with Trump?
Oh, I think so. Well, there really wasn't anybody. Well, everybody put their money on Jeb Bush and all that. That's where all the, quote, smart Republican money was going. But that was just basic rhino money that was going there. And he just fizzled. I was more shocked by that than Trump being elected because he just fizzled out of the gate. He didn't even get any more than like 5 or 6% of the vote at any time.
Well, I'm glad in my opinion because if we would have had Hillary as president, I probably would have jumped off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, one boat out of here, I would have been on it.
In fact, I was reading an article tonight about the impeachment proceedings that Pelosi started today. It's from the New York Post. Okay, New York Post, and that's a well-known thing. And it's one thing. It said something like they actually said this: that President Hillary Clinton was not available for comment. Actually referred to her as President Hillary Clinton
Oh my goodness.
in that article. Now, I don't know if they're trying to be facetious about that, or just, or think that, or is it just some liberal whack job is actually thinking that she is president at this time?
I'm not too sure, but Olive Branch just said, do you remember, or do you both remember when Trump and Hillary left everyone after he was elected and went together? I didn't know that happened.
I wasn't aware of that either. I know Hillary left because I think she was so mad and probably just going through a major tantrum because that's the kind of personality she is. And she did not have her big boy pants on that night. I think she should have gone out there and said, looks like the results aren't what we thought. She should have done that. I would have had a little more respect for her.
I don't think Hillary Clinton owns big boy pants.
I don't think so either. I think she wants things her way, and that's it.
She acts like a millennial, to be honest.
Yeah, she does act a lot like that, and maybe that's why they connect with her so much, because they're one and the same.
It could be.
I mean, I do websites for people. I run private email for people. So if you want to have email that's all private, I can set that up for you where nobody spies on you and all that. It's great. And if someone like Hillary came to me, knows nothing about computers, and says, I want you to do things like this and this and this, and I don't know, I would not deal with it, because if you're an idiot when it comes to computers and you want me to do something for you, the best thing to do is say, hey, I don't know how to do this, but can you make such and such happen? I say, yes, I can. This is how it works. And then you just play along. I'll set everything up for you. She didn't do it that way. That's why her whole email thing was such a fiasco, because she was trying to run the show and she had no idea what she was doing.
Right. Well, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And another thing, though, you've really got me thinking about the crashing of our system here, and I'm going to try to, dig into information about that, because I'm wondering what the tipping point's going to be.
Well, that's what everybody's wondering. All the speculation on what's going to make one of these bubbles pop. And there's so many of them out there that all it's going to take is one thing to pop. And I mean, I'm just giving you some simple stuff here. I mean, there's all this derivative market out there, and leverage on top of leverage out there, and just crazy bets. These are bets that you wouldn't even make in Las Vegas. Okay, these are some of the craziest things out there. But people want to be able to push a button and make millions and billions of dollars in one day. That's what they're trying to do, and it's a stupid system, because the way things were originally intended to be was, you have a cow that I want, and I offer you 2 goats for that cow, and then I walk away with the cow, and you walk away with 2 goats. That's the way things were intended to be.
That sounds like a really bad deal.
Yeah, I'll just use that as an example. I'm just using that as an example, but we'd make a deal on something like that. But you traded value for value in the bartering system. Nowadays, they don't want to take the time to do that, because like the king was always the guy that had the most land, the most wives, the most cattle, the most, whatever, gold, silver, all kind of things. That was the king. And nowadays, they just want to push a button and just make a whole bunch of money doing nothing. That's what it is. And it's going to come down on them sooner or later.
So,
probably a lot sooner than we think.
Do you think that possibly something that could blow the rest of whatever's left of our economy, or the world's economy, could be a deal that maybe the leaders are trying to get into and falls apart, and therefore it busts the whole thing, because that's their last grab at trying to maintain what we have?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to differ with you a little bit on that, and I'll tell you why. This thing, I think the 70 nations together, I think is going to be we are the plan at this time. This is the backup plan when everything does fall apart. I think they're just trying to get everything kind of together and start getting on the same page. That's what I think they're trying to do. I think another event is going to be even bigger. And I think that's going to be Brexit. I think Brexit has huge implications. A lot of financial things go through the Bank of London. And if they don't have the proper agreements so that they can transact this and all that, everything's going to come crashing down overnight. That's what's going to happen. Because the derivative market all goes through there. And if that has any chink in the armor there, it's going to be stupid, and it's just going to make everything fall apart.
So do you think that Brexit's going to happen?
Oh, yeah, I think so, and I think it's going to be a hard Brexit on top of it. See, what I think happened is this. They were going to do this back in around the end of March, I believe it was. And I think what happened is that they have these AI computers and they run simulations on these things and they factor in different things. They switch things around. It's like a chessboard, and they figure out how things would work if this happened. I think something scared them in their computer models on Brexit. I think something scared them. That's why it got delayed for 6 months, because I don't think they were quite ready for it yet. Now, if they delay it again, then we definitely know that they're scared to death of this thing, and that's going to bring it down. That's what I think is going on.
And could Brexit be considered a deal that nations would pull out of?
No, well, it's actually England pulling out of the European Union. So yes, they are pulling out, and England is a major player financially, militarily, and everything else. They are a base player, a base nation. They are a big player. So you take them out of the equation, that just the dynamic of everything.
Which that would in turn hurt the Kenites.
Oh, of course, because they look at the money that they might be losing out on if controlling it. You see, or maybe they can't run the business to it. I mean, that Bank of London is a whole discussion upon itself, because it does a lot of the business, so they get all their little cut all the time. All these little transactions that go through there, they're getting just a little piece of the action to keep funding that whole empire. That's what it's all about. It's all about the commission. That's what they want to do. That's why they hate gold and silver so much, because they don't get the commission. They don't like it for that reason. So, yeah, they won't tell you to do that. Also, another thing that they don't like are these like whole life insurance policies that we use, like super rich people use to hide a lot of their money. And they don't like that either, because, again, Wall Street doesn't get their little cut on it. They don't like that. They want to make sure that they get the cut on everything, so that every dollar that is spent on anything financial goes through them.
And if it falls or whatever, then boom, they get nothing.
Yeah, they get nothing. But here's what they're going to do, though. See, these people that are the real players, the real players here, they have been hoarding gold and silver for who knows how long, and they have probably tremendous vaults full of this stuff, okay? They are going to, at the end, I think they're going to set up a gold and silver-backed currency worldwide, and I think there's going to be one worldwide currency for doing international transactions, and local currencies for, like, if you're in the United States or you're in France or you're in Germany and all that. Kind of like it was before, where you dealt with pounds, francs, and Deutschmarks and things like that, and dollars. But they're only, like, dollars will only be good in the United States, or possibly just the North American continent, something like that. I wouldn't rule that out. So that's what they're going to do. And at that point, they're going to jack up the price of gold and silver to, I think, probably astronomical levels to pull this off. Hey, we got this new system that's all gold and silver back. Everything's going to be fine. This is going to be better than what we had before. It'll never happen again. I think that's how they're going to try to sell it.
So my question that just popped into my head is, in 1971, and I believe that was Nixon, correct me if I'm wrong, made a pact, and that gold doesn't back the dollar anymore, petro does, and that's why the United States had to go into Saudi Arabia to protect the petrodollar. Is this true, or?
No, that's very true. That's exactly what happened. they came up with this petrodollar. What happened was that the United States, being the gold-backed currency and being kind of the default currency after World War II, everybody wanted to get the dollars. And so everybody was trading gold for dollars, and it ended up that the United States ended up with a tremendous amount of gold. I mean, just an unbelievable amount of the gold supply worldwide was here. Now, you see, if you're any kind of smart economics person, this is exactly what you want, because now you're controlling, you're the king. You got the gold. You're the king, and that's the way you want it. But somebody talked them into switching and making this petrodollar thing going on, and we'll make the dollar the reserve currency instead of gold. And that's why we're in the stages that we're at now, because after a while, every single fiat currency has always crashed.
And my thought to that is the reason why that happened is because the Kenites are the ones that basically their gold is oil, and that's what they control all that, because we don't use any of our oil. We don't do that, correct?
Well, that's part of their empire. I mean, oil is definitely a major player for them, but they've got a lot of other things going on doing too. So I mean, that's just one part of it. It's not everything. Getting all these fees all the time for all these financial transactions, that's where the money is. And the new replacement system that they're going to use is all based on that. It's going to be a cashless thing. It's going to be like a debit card type system that they're going to use, and you'll use that every time you go to the store to buy something, and that's what it's going to be. Then they get their little cut on it, and that's what they're going to want all the time. So they've got a system already, and they can implement it very quickly.
Well, I remember I went into the bank. This was to Wells Fargo, and I believe this was about 3 years ago. And the bank teller, or not, the guy who stands at the inside the bank, the teller, I guess, told me that soon coming, we will have a cashless society. You cannot have cash. It'll all be by debit card, like you were saying. So that's true.
Oh, yes, they want to do that. In fact, there's even talk. There was an IMF paper that came out about negative interest rates back in April of this year, and I saw this. I have a copy of it myself, and it is essentially a blueprint for the New World Order. It really is. And part of what they want to do is, let's say a cup of coffee costs $5 at Starbucks. That's an example. If you pay with your debit or credit card, they'll charge you $5. But if you pay with cash, they're going to charge you $6.
Wow.
They want to be able to track everything that everybody is doing. End of story.
So are they going to basically not let us have any cash that we have? Because I don't put my money in banks. I just don't. I deal in cash just because of that reason. So if I have, say, I'll just pick $100 and this comes into a cashless society, can I spend my $100 or no?
Yes and no. Officially, no. But in reality, yes, because if you have the cash that's available right now that isn't, they're going to have some kind of new time-stamped cash is what they're talking about. And this is going to be a whole new animal. So the cash that you probably have on hand right now doesn't have that, which might actually have more value. And there's probably going to be a pretty good underground trade in cash. There's also probably going to be a pretty good underground trade in silver and gold too, just to be off the books.
Right. And I remember, Pastor Murray saying a couple times that what you want to do is collect silver, not gold.
Right. And the reason for that is that's real simple. That's a real simple reason. Gold has always been much more expensive than silver. It's usually been 20-1, the gold to silver ratio. 20 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. That has been typically what it's always been. Right now, for a while, it was almost 96-1. It was really bad. Now it's about 82-1 is where it's at. Now, the reason for having the silver is that it's a smaller amount, and especially if you have the junk silver, like the pre-1965 dimes, quarters, and half dollars. Those things are 90% silver, And those can also be used as currency if you want to make a small purchase sometime in the future. That would work out very well. But my feeling is that gold and both silver are going to skyrocket quite high. So even if you had a dime, you're still going to have something with a considerable amount of value to it.
So basically, if I have $100 in greenbacks, it would be more value to me to take it to the bank and get quarters.
Well, if you could get the pre-1965 quarters, in order to get them, most of the time you have to go to a coin shop that deals in that, or like a gold and silver dealer that deal in that. You can go to a place like SD Bullion online. Go to sdbullion.com, and you can buy that stuff online if you want to. If you don't have a gold and silver dealer in your area, you can buy it directly from them. You can buy the dimes, quarters, and that, the junk silver. They have the prices on there. They're actually a pretty good company. I haven't bought anything from them, but I know a lot of people who have bought things from them. They feel very safe with that company.
What about stuff like silver spoons and knives and other things that aren't coins? Is that going to be value to trade?
It would have value, but the thing is nobody knows when it comes to silverware and things like that, you don't know the exact amount of silver and the grades of it and things like that. That can get a little murky. Whereas if you have like the Silver Eagles or the Canadian Maple Leafs and things like that, well-known silver ounces of silver, those things will always be taken by almost everybody. There'll be worldwide acceptance on that.
Wow. I wish I would have listened and planned for this a lot earlier in life.
Yeah, I've been planning for 10 years. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I'm glad that I've been doing it for 10 years because it isn't something you can do overnight. I mean, it's not just having gold and silver. It's a lot more than that. You got to have some food on hand. You want to stock up on food. You want to stock up on other daily products that you use, like paper towels, Kleenex boxes, toothpaste, all these kind of things that you use. Another thing, too, that like for all women, you should have maybe a little bit bigger supply of feminine supplies on hand, too. That'd be a great idea because they could be very hard to get at a certain time. So you might want to have a little extra of that.
Right.
There's just a lot of things to it. You might want to have guns if you don't have guns. You might, all these different things, security like that, water. There's a lot of things to it. It's not just one thing.
Right. And so here is something I kind of wanted to bring up is anytime I say, you guys really should be prepping. You should think about food storage, medications, personal products, all these things.
Yeah.
The answer I get is, well, God will take care of you. But I don't disbelieve that. But Pastor Murray said at least have a month or so of supplies. You're going to need it.
Oh, yes. Yes. In fact, the more prepared you are, the better it's going to be for you. The easier it's going to be for you, too. And we're not even talking about hyperinflation and what that could do to prices at that time. In fact, you could even make a pretty good case. If you wanted to pick up some easy cash, buy some of the things that are common products that people want, especially like personal supplies, personal things like that. Buy up a bunch of it at today's prices because later on when hyperinflation hits, and it will hit, those things that you maybe bought for $10 a box could be worth $50 or $100 a box.
And you could trade.
And that's a way for you to kind of keep up with inflation and trade for other things of value with that. That would be a very easy way to do it. First of all, don't buy stuff like from a Walmart or from a Target. Go to like a Costco or a Sam's Club or a BJ's or whatever. Those are the places that you want to buy from because you'll get the best deals on all that. And just put them into smaller packages, like into plastic bags or something, and then turn around and trade with them afterwards.
That is a very, very good idea, and I'm glad you said that. I definitely believe that commodities are going to be worth a lot because most of our nation is not prepared like that. I mean, look what happens when a hurricane strikes. People don't have any water, they don't have food stored, and they're in a hurricane zone. Why weren't you prepared?
Yeah, I know. That's my thing too. I mean, look, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, which is kind of neutral, weather neutral. So we don't really have a lot of bad weather here. We have a lot of heat, but we don't really have a lot of bad weather. So it's a little bit more neutral here, but you still want to have a big supply of water on hand just in case. You got to have that. And I mean, there's just all kinds of ways that you can profit from this and just be prepared yourself, if nothing else. Worry about yourself first. And then afterwards, you got a little extra cash lying around. It's like, hey, maybe I could get a few of these and have them on hand and tell a few other people I got this and go out there and trade with it. Hard telling what you could do with it.
Right. And what do you think? Because I've always wondered what's going to happen when this system crashes to our electricity, city water, and stuff like that. How is that going to run?
That I don't worry about. Now we got to go back here a little bit here, and I'll tell you why. There could be isolated incidents where the electricity goes off, maybe in St. Louis or Chicago or something, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. The reason is I think the basic infrastructure will be running at that time. That's not going to be a problem because the counties will make sure that it is running because you don't want people rioting in the street, okay, and tearing everything apart. You don't want that. And plus, remember, when Satan gets here, he wants to make sure that everybody knows who he is and that he's here. So you want to keep things intact. So I think they're going to do an outstanding job of keeping things intact during this time. I don't worry about the electricity going off because if Satan shows up in Jerusalem and nobody has any electricity worldwide, how are they going to know that he's here?
Very good point. Very good. He's definitely going to make a grand entrance.
Yes. If you're going all Mad Max at that time, who's going to know? Okay, that's just not going to work.
You're exactly right. You're right. And so our internet's probably going to remain because it, like the Bible says, it'll come through your rooftops. Well, what's on your rooftop? Antennas, your TV, your internet.
Your TV antennas.
Right. He's going to want to be seen by the whole world. He's that conceited.
Oh, of course. You see, so once you know these kind of things, like I say, that's how I backward engineer all this stuff, reverse engineer all this stuff, because if you know that, then well, gee, electricity needs to be on. Oh, you want people to be able to text each other. You want people to be able to go on YouTube and watch it. You want people to be able to see it on their phone, everywhere. I mean, we've got all the infrastructure necessary for that grand entrance right now.
I feel, and I'm not saying today, tomorrow, next month, but I feel that he's at the door knocking.
Oh, I do too. And, the strong speculation for a lot of people is, and I kind of go along with this myself, is that 5-month season is going to start around the end of April and go till the end of September. That's what the speculation for most people is. And I can agree with that. I think that's a decent idea. But then Pastor Murray's also pointed out that don't be surprised if it changes a little bit. Maybe things happen in January rather than April or in July instead of, another time. So there's a lot of little variations that could play out.
Right, and that's where it confuses me because there's a study, and now why can't I remember the name? I don't know, but Pastor Murray talks about the message came 6 days before true Passover, the true Passover, and 5 days before Passover, Lucifer was kicked out onto earth, which starts the tribulation, and then he comes from the earth, and why he comes from the earth is because he was already here. But he was behind the scenes.
Right.
But he was talking about 5 days before Passover. And I'm thinking, okay, but then like you said, he also says, but don't get caught off guard because it could happen at any time. So it's confusing. Like, okay, well, if it's not going to be that and it could be any time, then you're like, well, everything's kind of coming to a head here to where it feels like he's coming. It feels like it's nigh.
Whenever I talk to Jeff, I mean, we like I said, we talk a couple times a week, and we talk about that. Like, there's just so much going on. I mean, sometimes we'll talk on a Friday and then talk again on a Monday, and we've had three months worth of news in a couple of days, because so many things keep happening back to back.
Right,
it's incredible to see what's really going on. Yeah, And a lot of times we talk for a couple hours and we go over a lot of fine-tuned things. We kind of parse a lot of the financial videos that we watch, and we parse them and kind of see what people are talking about. Sometimes we watch videos that are kind of lame, and we just kind of like, well, that wasn't worth much. And then sometimes we'll watch a video and there's just two sentences in there that just light us up, that we know, like, oh, that's important right there. And so it's a difficult thing to do. It's a lot of boring stuff to listen to, and especially when they get really deep into some of these financial things like derivatives and that's a whole new animal. That's I'm not even an expert in that, and I hear people talking about it and explaining it. I try to learn and try to be as good as I can on all this stuff, but there's a lot happening, and I agree with you that it just feels like it's in the air, like you just feel something is going to happen and happen very, very soon.
Right, and day by day by day, it's going faster and faster and faster.
Yes, I mean, even at your age, you can tell that news stories when you were 18, 19 years old, they had a hard time putting together a top 10 news stories of the year. Well, you could
Right.
almost get the top 10 news stories in the year in about 1 week now. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, the speed of things. And that's what Jeff and I comment on all the time, is just how fast everything is happening. Flooding everywhere, earthquakes everywhere. Everything is just fever pitch everywhere you look.
It's those labor pains are coming to delivery.
Yeah, that's what it is. They get faster and faster, and that's how it works. And so, it's there's a lot to watch out for, but that's why it's nice to talk to each other about some of these things so we can kind of fill in the blanks a little bit here and there with each other, and I think kind of get everybody on track here, because there is so much to do.
Exactly. And just like I was saying earlier, we all kind of have our own zones about what we like. Me, I love end time prophecy. Daniel and Revelations gets my blood just pumping, and I want to focus on looking
Yeah,
for Lucifer, but only in that sense. And you're so wonderful with financials, and boy, you just get it together, and you're like, bam, bam, and look at this. I'm like, holy crap, I don't understand, And so when it all comes
yeah,
together and we iron sharpens iron, we figure out what the real story is because it's all coming together.
right. It is, and I mean that's why we have our different things. And I think sometimes too, you know, Jeff and I have a lot of people following us on Facebook, and we try to get out the word on all these things. Now, some people maybe pay attention to them, some people don't, but we do get a lot of nice compliments on the work that we and Olive Branches. Yeah, I like your comments there. They're very nice and very. I want to thank you for saying all those nice things there. And we get a lot of favorable comments on these things, and people are really looking at what we're doing, and they want us to post a lot of stuff so we can keep them informed on what's going on, because it changes so rapidly.
Right, and you guys are very very good at it. The only thing I think that people have trouble with, because we're not where you guys are, it's just hard for us to grasp onto so quickly. It takes me sometimes a couple times to be like, "Wait, what?" Okay, because that's not my specialty. But I mean, what an
Right.
awesome job, and I'm proud of you guys.
Oh, thank you very much. This is what we try to do. We try to play our role as well as we can, and try to inform other people that, hey, time to get prepared, get this stuff going. I mean, yeah, I was having a conversation with a neighbor the other day, and I was I was telling her that I follow a lot of financial information, a lot of politics, and other, just kind of current trends of other things that are going on too, like pop culture type things. And uh, she asked me the question, uh, why do you do that? Like, why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your time doing that? I said, because it's everything. That's what it is. It's everything.
Right.
Knowing the stuff and being able to prepare ahead of time so you know what's going to happen just makes a world of difference as far as how well you're going to be able to go through this tough time. I mean, you got to put in your effort. I look at like you say about, you were telling about some people that said, well, God's going to provide, and all this kind of stuff. I look at it as the one, 5 and 10 talent man parable. That's what I look at. The people that were prepared and did well, look what happened to them. You see, they did something. And I think you have to put in a certain amount of effort, and I think you get rewarded for that afterwards.
I agree, and I think that is one of the most important things we can do right now is just prepare as much as possible. And I do think that God, like he says, he will put us under his wing, but he also likes a doer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm always kind of tweaking things and looking at my inventories and making sure I got what I need, and try to buy things when they're at prices that I know I can afford, and try to make it work. So that's what I try to do.
Well, I
And
think
it's not
that's
rocket science.
no, it's not, but I think a lot of us need to focus more on just making sure we have our medications, our essentials, personal items, food storage. I don't care if I have to eat oatmeal for a month. Oatmeal stores very well. So do canned
Oh,
items.
it does. Yeah, so does rice, so do ramen noodles. All these things are really cheap. I bought a 25-pound bag of rice at Sam's Club a while back for $9, like
Wow.
$8.95 or something. 25 pounds. And do you know how many meals that is?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my basis is like, well, people say I can't afford to prep. Well, rice isn't expensive, oatmeal isn't expensive, top ramen isn't expensive, and if that's all you have to eat for, it's not going to be that long, then at least you're eating.
No, at least you're eating. I mean, it's nice if you can throw some meat in there too, and do that. That's why some of these uh, membership clubs like Costco and that can be a big advantage. And people say, well, I don't need that much. Yeah, you do. At this point, you do. It's a good time to get some of that stuff.
Right.
Um,
Time
for
is
instance,
running
like they have
short.
time's running short. For instance, like at Costco right now, they have chicken legs, and they come in these little five chicken legs in a little vacuum sealed package, and it's like a 6 pack of these all together. Well, you can just cut these up into individual packages, and now you've got 5 drumsticks ready to go that you can just take out and then cook them at that time, and you've got them to go. They're already prepackaged just perfectly for you, and they're 79 cents a pound. So I mean, it's affordable stuff, and you can have a little bit more to eat at that time. So you
Right.
don't need to spend a fortune. A couple $100 can do an awful lot of good for you.
I agree, and that's definitely something, I'm going to add to my stash and just to make sure I have. One of the most important things I think also is some apple cider vinegar because it helps get rid of infections. You can put it on cuts, you can drink it, you can do so much with apple cider vinegar that can be life saving.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's
And
a lot of little known things like that. That's what people used years and years ago. A lot of these things aren't anything new. People have used them for a long time. It's just that we kind of got away from using all those things.
right. And I have a lot of teas and stuff like that, herbal stuff, because I think that medication, which is hard to get without a doctor's note, so I'm trying to stock up on things that I knew they used before that can heal wounds and cuts and scrapes and colds and all this stuff because herbs, where do people think that medication was derived from? It was from your herbals. Yes, they added chemicals and yes, they changed stuff, but your herbs still can heal. And I think it's important that you have Tylenol, you have heartburn stuff, you have, all these little things that you can go grab. Get some bleach. You may need it. Go get some
Oh yeah.
alcohol rub and, hell, grab some vodka and put it up there. That's all. That's a good cleaner too.
Yeah.
And a shot if you need it.
I prefer whiskey myself.
That'll work.
That'll work. Yeah, that's for sure.
But I was just wondering if at any point you both would like to come on here and kind of educate people on this financial stuff and maybe preparing. I mean, you have such wonderful things to share. I bet that would be a really awesome show.
Well, yeah, I'll let Jeff know. He works days all the time. And so late at night, he's zonked out. So he's working days. And if we could do something that was a little bit earlier in the day, I think that would work out better for him. For me,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more flexible.
It totally
I'm a
works
little more
out for
flexible.
me whenever you if you can arrange that, let me know what time you guys want and we can do this cuz I think this is very important and I would absolutely love it. I know Olive Branch would be really excited about that and I think it'd be something that everybody needs to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you're out on the West Coast, right?
Correct.
Okay. He's on the Central Time Zone, so he's 2 hours ahead right now. And so it's a little bit trickier for him. So we'd have to do it earlier in the day or even in the afternoon would be great. West Coast time, like from, let's say, maybe 1 to 3, 2 to 4, something like that would probably work out great for him too.
That would be great for me. Just let me know when you guys can because the information that you gave tonight is a true blessing and I think you are very intelligent and I really enjoyed hearing all this and I want to share this with people and we can also set up something possibly Olive Branch and her brother's very smart and has a lot of biblical knowledge and I think that maybe we could really get down to some, what do they say, brass tacks? Or is that what the
Yeah,
saying is?
yeah, something like that. Yes, that's what it is. And yeah, I'm sure Jeff would probably be up for that and be kind of interesting to do something like that. We want to help out people and try to get the word out. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of things right from what I'm hearing. You're preparing and you got a lot of ways of knowing like the herbal stuff and that's probably a little bit above me. Believe it or not, that's a little bit above me. But I do understand that there's a lot of things that you can put together if you know what you're doing
Right.
that can
Right.
be good.
Well, and I live out, in the rural area, and in Washington we have, which I've been studying for a couple years, a lot of natural things that you can go grab out in the forest that grows here naturally that you can eat, that you can drink, how to get water out of trees if you don't have any water, how you can actually have a tree give you its water, stinging nettles, which is great tea, dandelions. There's so much in the forest here that you can really live off of. And it can heal you at the same time.
Well,
And
yeah, you got a lot of great forest area there. You got a lot of rain. It's a jungle up there.
it is, and I'm also getting into learning how to purify water because I've got lakes, I've got ocean, I've got, so I've got salt water, I've got fresh water, but obviously it's not clean. So I know that if I run out
Right,
of water somehow, I'm learning how do I clean it? How do I filter it? What can I do with salt water to get the salt out? How do I boil it? Because I think that's important in case I have to go collect some water.
right. And that's also something you could even barter with her on too.
Right.
So I mean, if you had clean water for people, I mean, you're going to be popular. There's no doubt about that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I honestly think that when everything does crash, I think it's going to be a very, very two-class system. That's what I think. And I think it's going to come down to those that have precious metals on any level and those don't. And if you're in those that don't have precious metals crowd, you're going to be a hurting unit. It's going to suck for you. There's not about it. But I think even a small stack of even silver, just 25, 50, 100 is a small stack, is going to be light years ahead of the average bear. And right now, the price of silver is about $20. You can buy silver eagles for around $20 or so a piece. And if you can afford to buy a few, you should definitely be doing that.
I agree with you, and I'm going to get on that because I'm lacking in that area. So I'm going to be a hurting unit if I don't.
Yes, you will be a hurting unit, and you don't want to be that because I think I honestly think now I came up with this yesterday. Now you kind of check out this one. Think of my theories, right? I talked to Jeff about this, and he thought that I was onto something here. Again, I like to look at the practical standpoint of things, and Satan is one smart guy, and he's also very capable of tricking people into things. He can really trick people. I mean, everybody thinks off in a red suit and a pitchfork. I mean, how stupid is that?
Right.
Okay. And anyway, my point is that a lot of people think that this time it'd be so difficult. And I think it might actually be easier for the people that have precious metals, because a lot of Shepherd's Chapel students are going to have precious metals. Okay? Now just follow me on this for a second. I think that what he is to try to, let's say everything crashes and the system is something like this, where you can take your precious metals and go to the bank and kind of cash them in and get that new debit card or whatever it is it's going to be. Maybe it might even be your existing debit card, but it's just you cashed in some silver and now you're going to get X number of credits for it.
Right.
I kind of think, because that's basically what they're going to do. You're going to have the banks involved, because the banks will, whenever there's money involved, the banks are going to be involved. So I don't think that's a stretch. Now, I think at that point, if you're cashing in some gold or silver, either one, I think Satan is going to turn on the VIP treatment for everyone. That's what I think. I think he's going to try to throw us a curveball. Even before he's here, this is what I'm talking about, the first 2.5 months. He could try to throw us a little curveball. Because think about it, a lot of people that kind of come into sudden money, like if you have a winning lottery ticket, or these athletes that are from the housing projects and get that $100 million contract,
Right.
They blow their money. They're stupid with it. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not guaranteeing this. I don't really have any biblical, backup on this. But this is my practical common sense thing. It would make sense that he would kind of have things going really good for us, because guess what? He's going to have a hard time to convince us to worship him.
Right.
So he's going into a game where we are the real prize. And if we're the real prize, he's going to want to do everything he can to get us in the frame of mind where maybe he can get us to get a little full of ourselves and a little bit of pride, like, oh, hey, I got all this money. I can afford a Cadillac. Look at me, and start thinking like a little bit, because
Amen.
that might make his job a little bit easier.
You're right.
That's what I think.
You're right. You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
And he's so conceited that he thinks that he's going to get the elect.
Right. He thinks he's going to be able to do it. But he also knows that the odds are 1,000,000,000 to 1. But wouldn't it make a lot more sense to throw everybody a curveball and make everybody a lottery winner? Wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
I mean, I don't have any biblical basis for this, but this is kind of my theory that I came up with the other day. It kind of popped in my head. I thought, you know what? If you're torturing everybody, if you take all the money away from everybody, like even the elect, you take all the money away, take their food away, have them hide in a cave with a case of water and a couple of cans of beans, and then you say, oh, by the way, I want you to worship me. It's like, this is going to be a middle finger convention.
Well, you're right, and that's why
mean,
that's why Pastor Murray said when he comes, it's peacefully and prosperously, and he's going to put a chicken in every pot if you follow him.
Right, exactly. And the people that have no precious metals at that time, which will probably be 97 to 99% of the population, they are going to have to do that to survive. They will. I think they're going to get some kind of universal basic income or something of that nature.
Yep.
To kind of keep them happy. That'd be my guess. But I think those of us that might have precious metals at that time, I think he's going to want to make us as rich as possible, just to try to get our thinking different. Like, oh, all these other people are so poor, and look at me, I got all this money. Oh, I'm important now. You see, it's easy to start playing that game, trying to work on your psyche.
Which he does.
Yeah, that'd be right his alley. That's why I think this is, because this is the kind of move he would make, because nobody's expecting this to happen. They're expecting doom and gloom. They're not expecting a winning lottery ticket.
Right, and that's what's coming.
Yeah. So again, I don't have any biblical backing for that, but just like the Murrays think that, this last generation is here because they were the third of heaven that followed, Satan at that time, which, judging by the evidence, I think they've got a pretty solid point. And that's how my theory is too. It's just based on common sense. And what would you do if you were Satan in that kind of category? Having people mad at you isn't going to help you.
No. He wants everybody to love him, so he's going to perform those miracles, and he's going to do
Right.
everything he possibly can, just like Jesus did and would, because
Yeah.
he's a bad imitation. He's a copycat. He's going to do everything that Jesus would do.
Yeah, exactly. And so, really, when you think about it, he has to play the good guy all the time. He really can't be seen as an enforcer or as a bad guy. He just can't do it. It's incompatible. So otherwise, the stereotype that he's playing off of isn't going to work for him. If all of a sudden he says, "Well, how come all these people over here you took all their money away? Why'd you do that?" Well, what's your answer to that? All of a sudden, you don't look so good. You're blowing your cover.
Right. So, do you think for those people who aren't prepared and maybe might be hungry, God's going to take care of?
I think to a degree. I think it's going to be a much rougher ride if they don't do it that way. I mean, it's not that hard to do. Like you said, like rice and some precious metals, especially the prices they are right now. I wouldn't wait much longer because the price of precious metals can go through the roof at any point. So don't waste a lot of time on that.
Right.
Don't waste a lot of time. I mean, get to it. That's my advice to you on that is make it happen as fast as you can.
Boy, see, and we're back to that again. Time is short. We're feeling it. The economy's feeling it. The world's feeling it. And that's why I'm just saying this could be a lot sooner than a lot of us think.
Well, I can tell you right now, you see, the reason that everything went bad in 2008 is that the liquidity between the banks dried up overnight. What happened was, now this is a little complicated here, but I'm going to try to make it easy for you, okay?
Good.
When they do these repo loans, you're going to hear a lot of the term repo a lot in the news right now. It's called repo. We're not talking about repossessing somebody's car here. These repo loans are loans that banks make between each other overnight. Wells Fargo calls up Chase and says, "Hey, Jamie, I need $25 billion for tomorrow." And says, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that." And then Wells Fargo will say, "Okay, we're going to put up such and such as collateral, like treasuries, or like before they were using those collateralized debt obligations, which were the mortgages that were bad. Right. They were using that to exchange between each other. Well, what happened was they said, "I don't want that stuff anymore. That's worthless." And all of a sudden, all the lending just dried up overnight. That's what caused the 2008 crash in a nutshell. The same thing is happening right now. They're putting in massive amounts of money because there's not enough money to go around. That's what's happening. And so this is not a good thing to do. This is a serious red flag event. And you want to follow this very carefully because this could be the key that could bring everything down.
Wow. That's it in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely time to get moving, do what we can very quickly, keeping our eyes open and watching the financials and Jerusalem because that's our barometer. And like we were talking about earlier, I'm really interested to see what this 70 Nations meeting is going to be because I think this is going to be huge.
Oh, I do too. I think it's going to be a huge event no matter what. And I think this is the pre-New World Order New World Order. That's
I agree.
What I think.
I agree, and I think many people agree with that also. Well, the ones who know the truth anyways.
Yes, the better informed ones. The average idiot on the street is like, how do the Patriots do this weekend? That's what they're thinking about.
Right.
And they're not thinking about these things at all. I mean, like I follow some football too and have fun with that just to, have a little distraction once in a while. But
it's not our main focus.
It's not our main focus. I'm not going to be able to tell you who's on a different team each year and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I just want to watch an entertaining game, and then I go back to doing what I'm doing. So that's how I play it. But, yeah, you are right, and I just feel like there's so much going on, and all of a sudden the liquidity dries up overnight because that's basically what happened in 2008. It just dried up overnight, and they had this major catastrophe going on, and they didn't know what to do. Also, too, the Fed is jumping in and buying a minimum with no cap of $30 billion worth of assets every day, such as treasuries, stocks and bonds, anything that they might have to, that there's no buyers for because there's counterparty risks. If I want to sell a stock of mine, if I say I have 1,000 shares of something, I want to sell it, I have to find someone else who wants to buy it. That's called counterparty risk. And at some point, the counterparty risk becomes so high that nobody wants to deal with you. Oh, I don't want that stuff. That's worthless. And you end up holding the bag at the end, and you're the sucker that loses out big time. There's going to be a lot of that going on here pretty soon.
Probably sooner than most know.
Yes. And that's why gold and silver are so valuable, and other products too. I mean, other commodities that you can think of are so valuable because at that point, those things will be the things that people are going to want and trade for. So anything that you have is good. I mean, you could be in a seriously good situation there if you have commodities and some gold and silver at that time, or just silver. That's fine too.
Right. And I believe that if some of us aren't able to obtain that silver, I think that at least if I have, because I'm able to get commodities, I'm able to do these things, that I still might be okay, because if I don't have something, I have extra commodities to trade for.
Yes, you have extra commodities, and that's always going to be a good thing, especially like the more personal items. I think those could be very, very high demand items. In fact, I've even thought about buying some of those kind of products too, and just having extra ones on hand myself, just to wheel and deal. Because like a lot of the feminine products and that, I mean, you got 40% of the population that needs them.
I'm gonna go out tomorrow and buy 4,000 tampons. They're gonna say this lady has got issues. I'm gonna say, don't mess with me.
Yeah, they'll believe you too.
But you're right, and you got to think about these things. And I'm being serious. I'm going to start stocking up on these things that are going to be, that people don't have a choice. They have to have it.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. I mean, now you're talking 40% of the population that needs these things all the time. And I'm almost tempted to get in that kind of game myself, because what a guaranteed sell, and right now you can buy these things at a relatively decent price, especially at like a Costco or a Sam's Club, and then hang on to them for a while, wait for the price of them to double or triple or even worse, or there's just none available. And then you can almost name your price at that time, which it wouldn't take long for that to empty out. And then it's name your own price because of supply and demand. And you got it made. You got your own business right there.
Well, and another thing you can think of too is diapers for young and old. That's going to be a big commodity also.
Oh yes, huge. Those things are huge. I kind of like to stay away from things like baby food and things like that. I mean, they're good ideas, but I wouldn't go too heavy into them, because you are dealing with some expiration dates on that kind of stuff.
Right. I definitely wouldn't buy that, but diapers I think would just be just as big of a thing to do, because I guess you could use cloth, and you could use that in any instance if you had to, but people aren't going to be doing that because we're already going to be having a hard time. So when you got personal products, you've got soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, toothbrushes, just, those care packages that they send to the Army, stuff like that's going to be very high valued.
Or extremely high value. Again, supply and demand rules everything at the end of the day. So if you've got products that people want, I mean, I even bought a few over at, I think it was at Sam's Club. I bought some 4-pound boxes of salt. Just 4-pound boxes. They're under $1 a piece. $1. Okay. Guess who's going to want to fill up their salt shaker sooner or later? A lot of people. And now you got something to trade with that you can. Okay, well, what you got to trade? And now you got something, you see. So there's a lot of different angles to this game.
Right, and that could be your gold right there. Salt, herbs, personal products, stuff like that. You may not have any gold in your pocket, like I don't, but I will have those commodities will make it feel like I have gold.
Exactly. I mean, I think the only advantage to having the silver or gold is that when the reset happens, those people are going to move to the front of the line. they're going to move to the front of the line all the way, because you have to remember that even though you can trade and barter and all those things for them, if you're good at bartering, you can do well with that. But you have to remember later on, you won't have any real money to work with. It's going to be tough. So even if you have just a small amount, even just a few ounces of silver, like put $200 into some silver and get 10 ounces, you're going to be seriously ahead of anybody that doesn't have that. So,
Right.
I mean, even just a small amount is good.
I'm going to try to do that, but I think I'm pretty used to being in the back of the bus.
Well, why don't you get up in the front? Why don't you get in the back of the limo with me instead?
Right. Is it better back there? You got anything to drink?
Yeah, we got a full bar back here.
There you go. Well, I'm definitely going to be looking into seeing what I can do about that. Times have been pretty hard since Hurricane Harvey hit. My family, we lost everything we had, and I wasn't prepared for it. We had just moved back to Texas into the Houston area. I didn't know Hurricane Harvey was even coming. I wasn't looking on the news. I wasn't, and it just hit. Somebody says, "Well, you know, there's a hurricane coming tomorrow." I said, "What do you mean a hurricane coming tomorrow?" They said, you better like look." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" It was too late. By the time I got off work and went to the store, the shelves were empty. There was no water, no food, barely anything. I did get lucky and get Gatorade and some nuts and raisins and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I know, and that's the whole advantage of being prepared ahead of time. Now, you don't need to be like these preppers that they show on TV that have a 50-year supply of food and crazy stuff like that. You don't need to do that. We know that. Okay, but just be reasonable about it. Have a 6-month supply of food. That's probably all you're really going to need at the end anyway. So
Right.
maybe a 6 month to a year supply.
Right, because that way you have your supply plus trading supply.
Exactly. And like even when you're trading with people, it's best to deal with people that that you can trust. You don't want to just put an ad on Craigslist saying you got something and then
no, you're going to
have
get
somebody
robbed.
show up. Yeah, you want to be careful there. But if you can start, what you really have to do, and this sounds really crazy, but a lot of stuff that we say does sound crazy. If you're going to do like the bartering thing, or you got the extra products like diapers and all that, you almost have to kind of set it up almost like a drug dealer type of network. And because that's the kind of thing that works.
I could go
obviously
gangsta.
you're dealing, go gangster on that. And I think that business model works in that situation. Obviously you're selling legal products, so you don't have to worry about, going to jail for diapers. But I think that kind of business model is almost perfect in that situation.
Right. I'll just have to get a little hood and get out there and deal my tampons. It'll work.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It might be a lot of things to do that.
Well,
I
this is going to be rough, and you know it, I know it, the rest of us know it, and the more prepared we are, the better, but it's going to be rough regardless. Why make it any rougher? But this is going to be very hard times.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be hard times for a lot of people. And I think it's going to be, in some respects, I think like Jeff and I think it's going to be a real challenge, because guess what? When people run out of things and they see people like myself or Jeff walk into a store and just kind of buy a few things because we can afford to do it, I think that there's going to be people around that are going to notice that, especially maybe some young women. They might get a little friendly, things like that, because they've got nothing. They're trying to get friendly to get what they need.
Right.
That things happen. You're going to deal with groupie type experiences. Fortunately, I played in bands years ago, so I know what that's all about. And I can handle that a little bit better. But you got to get ready for almost anything to happen. If you've got something, there's going to be people who are going to try to, be interested in getting some of it.
Right, and they do that these days anyways. That's why I am more of a... I don't have very many friends. Olive Branch is my bestie out there, and I love her dearly, but I don't associate with a lot of people because they've used me so much. If I had it, my heart's so big I gave it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can get you into a lot of trouble.
Boy,
It really
howdy.
can.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
it
just my
does, and
nature, though. That's just how my heart works. It's like I don't like to see suffering. I don't like to see somebody without. And if I have extra, it was just I just sometimes couldn't help it.
right. I can understand that. I mean, we do want to help, and I enjoy helping a lot of people on Facebook. There are some people, I'm not going to mention names, but there are some people that have kind of caught on that, I know a little bit about finance, and they ask me questions about things, and I try to explain it the best I can. Hopefully, that in terms they can understand and make better decisions. And it makes me feel good when I can help them out that way. And I like to see that they're getting into it a little bit more, because that's the whole thing. We got to be ready and into it.
I would really find it a blessing, and I know others would too.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send you a personal message, a private message on Facebook when I talk to Jeff, and then we'll kind of start filling things out a little bit.
That would be awesome. And thank you for coming in here tonight and bringing us your knowledge. And iron sharpens iron. I have just enjoyed this immensely, and I hope you continue to come back and chat when you see. I'm going to try to get on here every night. And anytime you need or want, I mean, pop in, please, because you have been a blessing tonight.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and that means a lot coming from another Shepherd's Chapel student. That's a very big compliment.
It is, and we're the body of Christ, and we got to act like it, and we have to help each other out because not all of us can see all of the views at one time because this is a pretty large picture to fit all into one one area here. So it takes all of us to be able to keep us all going down the right path and watching out and sounding that alarm and keeping us on the straight and narrow so that we make it through this.
Oh yes, and I think we will. I think we'll. I think it's. I think afterwards, when we look back at this years from now, I think we're going to be so glad that we did this and we did it the way we did.
I agree. I agree. I don't think we
You know.
have years. I think we've got less than that, but that's just my opinion.
No, I'm saying years into the future from now, when we
Oh,
look back at
yeah.
this, like what we did. Remember when things got close and we felt it was close and then it was. I think
Yep.
when we had that conversation later on,
Yep.
I think we're going to all say that yeah, we put it together.
That's
I think
right.
that's what we're saying.
That's right. And hopefully soon we'll all be. I'm hoping. I'm not saying I am, but I sure hope I'm one of the ones that get delivered to Lucifer because I'm ready to bust his behind.
Oh yeah, me too. And I think the ones that are a little more active and maybe a little bit more forward on some of this stuff, I think are a little bit more likely to be there. But you never know. It could be a whole variety of people. If you notice, most of the people, when you see their comments on Facebook, they've got their act together. Most of them seem to have their act together.
Right.
And I feel pretty confident with that bunch.
And it seems like we're all gnawing at the bit for this, and just as the Bible says, we're ready to do our job, and we're gnawing, we're praying, Lord God, bring this. It's we how long's it going to be? We're ready to do our job, and our souls are gnawing at the bit. I know that's how I feel.
Oh, I think all of us do. I feel that way too. I just want to get this over with because we know on the other side, like when we get in the millennium time, it's going to be so much nicer, and we won't have to deal with a lot of this idiotic, stuff today. I mean, I saw somebody, one of these, remember the climate protest thing they had going on here a little while ago, a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
all those young kids. I actually saw a video of this one young girl, about 18 years old, stands up to the microphone. She goes, "My name is blah blah blah,"
Greta.
and she goes, "And my pronouns are her, well, the she, her, and hers." It's like, what are these people
She
talking
says,
about?
"You stole my childhood on your fake promises. How dare you?" I actually made a video, if you look through my videos on my channel, and I have commentary to Miss Greta's video. And it's kind of funny, but I felt actually really sad that the system, and that's one of Lucifer's dynasties, the educational system, has made and she
Yeah.
was actually 16 years old, has made them so fearful. She says people are dying everywhere. Our ecosystems are crashing. People are dying. I'm like, where? Because I don't see that.
Yeah, where? Show me the coffins.
Right. And she was acting
Well, you
like
know
this
what?
was on a global scale.
Yeah. Well, really, all that they've done here, this is what the Kenites have done. What they've done is they've basically taken Hitler Youth and brought it into a different dimension. Is what they've done.
Yeah.
They've just changed the subject. Okay, instead of the Third Reich being the subject, global warming is the subject.
Well,
That's all they've done. They just switched the subjects on it.
do you remember when the survivors, because I watched this a lot, I actually, in 8th grade, I went to a private school. We took a trip to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. I bawled my eyes out through that whole thing. It was horrifying. And ever since then, I watch Holocaust, I listen to the survivors, and they say it will repeat.
Right.
It is repeating, and history, the Bible
Yeah.
proves history always repeats itself. And that's what's happening. They're like, don't you stand there and think that this won't happen to you. Listen to what I'm saying. It's happening.
Exactly. And like I said, with the Hitler Youth thing, all they've done is just change the subject to global warming or the climate change.
Right.
And instead of hatred of Jews, what it is, it's hatred of climate deniers. It's the exact same treatment.
Right.
Nothing's really changed. There's nothing new here. It's the same tactics, just different subject and different hate group. That's all.
Right. And I think that maybe, and I think this was actually proven, that the whole Hitler thing was a test, and it failed miserably, but it was a test for end times.
You know, that's a good point. You know, I think that especially now what we're seeing with the climate change crowd and how they operate, because and look at the Antifa people. They act exactly like the brown shirts.
Oh my goodness.
And they're saying that they're anti-fascist, but they do the exact same things as the brown shirts did.
Yeah. Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun at all.
And it's a scary
well,
thing.
hey, it's been great.
But at least we know who wins in the end, and we win with God, so it's going to be okay.
Yes, that is the reason. This battle wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't for that. That's for sure.
Amen to that. And I look forward to hearing from you again. And pop on anytime you want. And again, you are a blessing. And thank you so much. And God bless. Thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge tonight.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been great, Amber. See you later.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, bye.
All right. So, this has been an extremely educational show tonight. I thank you for being here with us. This was amazing. I think I just want to recap real quick that we do need to make sure that we do have preparations in place. You heard what we were talking about. You heard the reasoning. End times are going to be hard, and it doesn't hurt and it doesn't cost a lot to make sure you have those commodities on hand. You have enough food, water. Like we said, top ramen's cheap, oatmeal's cheap. Things like rice, beans, you can get at Costco. Heck, even Walmart, okay? If you can't get into Costco, Walmart has beans for very cheap, oatmeal, things like that. Because at least we'll be eating. We'll have things to trade with. These are very important things. And I remember Pastor Murray saying you do need to prep and you do need to have at least a month's worth. But go ahead and have 2 or 3 if you can, because then you'll have something to trade with. I think these things are very important. And if you can, get some silver. I think that was very, very, very good advice. And wow, I feel the Holy Spirit was here. I am just elated right now. And I'm going to come back on tomorrow and do another current news chit chat. You know, we can take this anytime anybody comes in here. We can take it wherever you want to go. Iron sharpens iron. The body of Christ is important. We're important to each other, and we need to support and love one another so we can make it through this. We're gonna make it through it, but let's make it easier on each other and sharpen each other's swords. Show that love, and let's get down to business, because Lucifer, we're getting ready to come bruise your head, and I'm excited for it. I feel it in my body and in my soul. Anyways, thank you all for coming in here tonight. Olive Branch, I love you, girl. And I'm going to go ahead and end this stream, and I will see you all tomorrow. I love you all. Good night, and God bless.